Why are we talking about regression in a course about psychology? Well, we aren't going to be doing any math today, but we are going to talk about how you can think about regression in a way that'll help you understand sports betting. Regression to the mean is a concept in statistics that a ton of people get wrong. It tells us how extreme values, meaning very high or very low values, in data tend to be followed by more average values. Another way to think of that is that things gravitate around the average. This happens because extremes just aren't sustainable, so things tend to average out over time. So the best prediction of future performance is the average of past performances, not the most recent performance. The exception to this is if something has truly changed in a significant way. Imagine a basketball player who scores an unusually high number of points in one game, say 40 points, which is well above their average. If you expect them to score 40 points again in the next game just because they did it once, you might be disappointed. More likely, in the next game, their score will be closer to their average. Let's say their average is 20 points. This return toward the average happens because scoring 40 points per game just isn't sustainable for that player. So unless something has truly changed with their skill or their usage, it's going to be closer to 20. A lot of people get this wrong, even though it seems obvious. So let's talk about a couple of mistakes people make when they think about regression to the mean. One of those mistakes is about causation. So people confuse what's causing regression. In the book Thinking Fast and Slow, there's a story about Air Force pilot training. The instructor believed that praise was bad because when he praised his pilots for doing well, they tended to perform worse on the next flight. He also noticed that when he yelled at his pilots for a bad performance, they improved next time. Naturally, he felt that it was because of what he was saying to them and that he was yelling at them. But this was actually just regression. Good performances were usually followed by average ones, and bad performances were usually followed by average ones. As an experiment, the pilots stopped getting feedback and they ended up seeing the same patterns in performance. Second thing is overreaction. After seeing a team or a player perform well a few games in a row, you might believe they're improving or are on a hot streak. The same goes for a team on a sudden losing streak. You might ask what's wrong with them, and the media will say they're in a slump. In reality, there's probably a lot to do with randomness there, and in the next few games, the most likely thing is that they'll go back to performing to their average skill level. People overreact all the time in sports. So that brings us to our last mistake, regressing to the wrong mean. Let's say a basketball player is underperforming expectations and is scoring 18 points per game. His average is 22 points per game over the last 5 years. League average for his position is 14 points per game. So is he going to regress to the league average of 14 points per game? Or is he going to regress to his average of 22 points per game? Well, unless he's declining as a player or his usage is going down for some reason, he's going to regress to his own average of 22 points per game. There's no reason for us to believe he's suddenly become an average player. So you have to be sure you're looking at the right average when you think about regression. Okay, let's recap. Regression to the mean is where extremely high or low values are usually followed by medium values. Understanding how regression really works can help you recognize when others are making the mistake of assigning causation where there is none, overreacting, or using the wrong mean. That is everything you need to know about regression to the mean.